Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV. We've got some Arsenal news to discuss. And of course, once again, Cecil's decided not to mute his... how long have we been in this job?
About a year and a half. Yeah. I actually checked before.
I'm glad you're hosting this.
Yeah, I'm glad you checked.
Nails the intro. And then he comes in with... Anyway, hello Cecil, how are you?
I'm very good. As you can tell, I'll be looking after the comments as well today, so make sure you guys get your comments in. We'll be talking and hearing from you guys and discussing the daily news today. So
Cool.
A lot have come through today, actually.
Yeah, loads today. We've got Turkish. How are you, man?
Yeah, can't complain.
Yeah?
Can't complain.
A few interesting links to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised by one of them, but yeah.
I think these are the most exciting links. I know they're links, but, you know, they come from, while I can't sort of discuss reliability, they come from verified accounts with thousands of followers that are renowned in, you know, whichever country they're predominantly working or whatever. And a lot of people are linking us with now João Felix and, or is it Felix? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. And Raphinha, who we all know very well, especially because of what he's done in the Premier League the last year and a half. Turkish, I'm going to get your reaction firstly to Raphinha. That came up more today.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, on the one hand, you could say surprising, because we've got Bukayo Saka doing what he's doing. Pepe, who's still a £72 million investment, whether it's worked or not. Are you surprised by this link?
I'm not surprised by it because, you know, it's a name that's been linked to a lot of the big clubs in the Premier League and, you know, fans have shown interest in him. Listen, he's a good player. He's a quality player. He's a better player than Saka is at the moment.
You think?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah. But he's not good enough for me to say, let's bring him in and sacrifice Saka's minutes.
Interesting.
Wait, you're saying Raphina right now is better than Saka in your opinion?
Well, in terms of how direct he is, and okay, productivity is, you know, is not the greatest, but in terms of how direct he is, that's something that Saka doesn't really have. Listen, Saka is an amazing player and he can play in multiple different positions. But Raphinha as a right winger cutting in is near the top of his game in terms of how direct he is and the cause for concern for other clubs.
I find that fascinating. I think his comparison would be more to Martinelli. I know they play in different wings, but Raphinha and Martinelli, I think.
Yeah, but that kind of shows Martinelli has different qualities to Saka, innit? They're very different, in my opinion, wingers. Very different.
Yeah, those two are definitely different.
One's a much bigger goal threat than the other. Martinelli is the bigger goal threat. I'd look at the same with Raphinha and Saka. The numbers might not tell you that, but Raphinha, in my opinion, is a bigger goal threat, whereas Saka helps build up play better. In my opinion, he's a bit tougher. We see Saka get kicked left, right and centre, and he still comes out the other end. That's why, for me, Raphinha is a quality player, and if he's coming, I'll take him. But is he good enough to take away minutes from Saka? Not for me.
Raphinha is the kind of player who scares the daylight out of defenders. I know Saka can do that, but Saka, like, he does it in a more subtle way. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, it's his movement, it's the positions he picks up, it's how devastating he is on the finish, and he has become a much better finisher in recent months. Saka, you can see game by game Saka improving. He has become more direct this season as well than last season necessarily.
Because let's say we've got Saka and Raphinha going into next season. I'd still want Saka to be starting, even though I like Raphinha a lot. But Saka's the Hale End boy. He's the one that's grown up here. And for me, Raphinha doesn't bring enough for me to say, yeah, he comes in and starts.
But is this not Arsenal starting to, you know, let's say they're really in for Raphinha, let's say this is real. Is that Arsenal starting to act like a Man City or a Liverpool who recognise that, guess what, we've got Mane, but let's get Diaz too. And we've got Sterling, but let's get Jack Grealish. And you know that they're maybe slightly different to what the other person in that, let's say, position is. But that's good. That's asking different problems.
That's a good point, James. I think you're right there. I think we have, like you said, you have Saka, we have Pepe as well. But I think it is something we want to see from Arsenal, kind of building these positions, because they haven't. For me, Pepe hasn't been, I'm sure as many people know, I don't think he's been a player that we all expect. So I think we should be building on things like that. But then, like how big teams do, Chelsea do that with Werner, it wasn't working, so they brought in another striker. But then you see saying the striker situation at Arsenal as well, maybe you should be being proactive in that as well. We're kind of relying on Lacazette and Eddie Nketiah. Like, that's where they should also be acting as a big club. But for this link, it makes sense that, you know, it's a change in Arsenal.
I've sort of quietly wanted Raphinha for a long. I'm not just saying this now. Like, genuinely, I've really kind of started this season. I was thinking, you know what, Raphinha would be perfect for us. And I look at the way we play, and again, I always sort of caveat by saying this, that it sounds crazy to say that we're trying to replicate Man City because we're so far off them. But if you actually look at the way we try and play and progress and everything, it's very similar. In fact, watching City struggle to score against Spurs reminded me of us when we struggled to score. Just crossed into the box, hopeful that we might do something. Raphinha, for me, out on the right-hand side, is exactly what
Pepe should have been.
Yeah, basically. You know, you can put him out on the touchline with 2-3 men around him, and you know he'll produce. Now, Saka has been producing, but I also like Saka on the left sometimes. Look at his finish against Brentford. Somewhere where he can be a little bit more direct to goal, a little bit more kind of, he gets the ball, beat a man and put the ball in. He's got a really good delivery. So I don't see the arrival of Raphinha necessarily taking from a Martinelli, a Saka or a Smith Rowe, because the point is it's strength and depth. It's asking different questions. You know, could one of them play as a false nine? That's what Guardiola's been doing. He's not found the solution to the number 9 he wants, so he's finding inventive ways to get them in the team. That, for me, is a good direction for Arsenal to go in.
I think with that as well, and the fact that I think Arteta, that is his kind of his game plan at the moment, getting players that can play in multiple positions. Ben White, we've seen he can play right back, he can play the centre defensive mid, he can play obviously centre back, he's in his position. Same with Tomiyasu, who can play in multiple positions. I think that's kind of what we're being linked to recently. I'm liking that from Arsenal. I know we're going to go on to João Felix at some point. Not just a number 9, he can play second striker, he can play on the right, he can play on the left. I think this Arsenal that we're starting to see is kind of imitating what you're saying with the Man City kind of model of players that can play in different positions. It's just the quality of players what I'm keeping a very close eye on, because I think there's many fans.
We're coming from a different place as well. I mean, it's, you know, Liverpool can do that and Man City can do that by in positions they're already strong in, because number one, they're a beast of a club, and players would happily bide their time for a chance, or would happily potentially sit on the bench for trophies, for success, whereas we don't have that to offer. Obviously we want to get to that place, and listen, next season we'll probably be in Europe of some sort, whether that's Champions League, Europa League or Conference League. I can't tell you, but it looks like we'll be in one of those positions, so we're going to have more games, but you know, if we're in Europa League next year, Raphinha and Saka, are they going to be happy playing that role? If we're in Champions League, then you can offer top of the range games to spread around.
It's a good point. I'm sure Pep doesn't find it hard letting, I don't know if Mahrez did start against Lisbon, but letting him know he's playing against Lisbon because, you know, he's getting a rest on the week, or not a rest, but he's not playing the game against Spurs on the weekend. You know, that is probably an easier pill to swallow.
They're challenging on multiple fronts.
Yeah.
So regardless of if you're playing Premier League, if you're playing Champions League or FA Cup at Man City, you're still an important piece to the squad, to the team.
It's an interesting link for me, because and maybe others feel it, when we talk about transfers and what Arsenal need to target, I think we're saying go big on a central midfielder, go big on a striker. That's what we're basically saying for January. But my kind of third and fourth positions are a backup right back and a winger. And even with the backup right back situation, I think Cedric's done fine. And I'll add to that, I think I got his first name wrong, but Norton Cuffy's doing great in his loan spell. And he looks potentially the profile of right back as well that Arteta likes. So I'm looking at winger as almost the third area we should be addressing, and not just leaving it to the young players, but actually get someone who's proven they can be productive in the Premier League now and ready to go up a level. That's what Sadio Mane was at Southampton.
Look, I done a video last week, and I'm not saying this link is genuine or whatever else, but the name Gnabry popped up with Robbie.
Another great example.
Yeah, so listen, Gnabry to me is top of his game, one of the most underrated players in world football, world class, and if he was to come in, then the important minutes go to him. There's no debate about it.
Yeah.
But with Raphinha, for me, it's still very much like, you know, still very raw, direct, yes, a threat, yes. But like I said, I'd still, you know, want Saka to be the main man in that position.
I love Raphinha. Hope you're gaming. In fact, let's do a poll, guys. Would signing Raphinha stunt or aid Saka's growth? That's what I want to know from you guys. I kind of believe being around more great players and in an environment where you're winning and your time is managed properly by the manager can help him. But I completely get your point.
I personally don't think it will stunt him. Sorry to cut you there. I think it will stunt him because Pepe.
I'll text it to you.
Because I don't think Pepe would have been. That could be an argument for Pepe. Would Pepe have stunted Saka's growth? If anything, it made him hold his position down even more. So I don't know if Raphinha would be that player to kind of stunt Saka's level of ability and his stride. And
you need to protect the young players as well. But what it is, is Foden. Let's use Foden as an example. Yeah. If Foden was at Arsenal, Foden would have had a 40-game season by now. But he's not. He's at a team that have, surrounded him with the right experience, the right level of quality, and it's probably boded better for Foden. And slowly but surely, his game time picks up season on season. He's still not where he'd want to be at, but at the same time, you can see a pathway to success, a pathway of development. If you're Arsenal and you're given the Emil Smith Rowe's and the Saka's, 30, 40 games a season already, it's hard to backtrack on that, bring in a quality player and then say you're going to play less. Yeah. Because part of development of young players is to play the biggest games.
Yeah, and that's definitely the way that we're going with sort of putting so much.
And we need players, we need quality. It's just that out of the front four positions, the striker goes without saying. 100%, two top strikers, just bring them in because they won't be stepping on anyone's toes. There ain't no toes to step on in that position. But when you look at the number 10 and you see sometimes Smith Rowe's on the bench, Odegaard started on the bench earlier on in the season, the depth looks decent there. I'd potentially say, left and right need some depth, but it's a balance because that depth needs to not only motivate Martinelli and Saka, but it needs to also allow them the time and space to breathe and develop.
Yeah. It also depends on the fixture list as well. If we get into Champions League, if we get back into the Cups next season, there are going to be a lot more fixtures. So these players are going to... You can't rely on Saka and Emil Smith Rowe to play every game next season if you're in those positions like top four and you're playing midweek. So it also depends on that as well.
What were the comment section saying?
A lot of people just... Well, I'm looking at the votes so far. 52% say yes, it will stunt Saka's growth, and 47 now say
okay, but
no.
it's tight.
It's tight. It's very tight. It's very tight. I think a lot of people are talking about Renato Sanches as well. That's going off in the chat.
Yeah, absolute player we should be targeting. But the other player we've been linked with is João Felix.
Yeah.
João Felix. Oh,
am I saying that? João Felix.
Isn't it Quao or something like that? No.
Oh, don't even. I'm sorry.
Don't listen to me.
Yeah, don't listen to me.
Being half Italian, when I see the names getting butchered, I get so annoyed. But here I am butchering them myself. We were talking off air and saying that this is a really interesting link because he could potentially be the perfect striker. What did you mean by that?
Because he can drop his quality on the ball as well as he is in and around the box too. He's a finisher, but at the same time, he can help build up play. He can be a false nine. There's questions about whether he can be an out-and-out nine, but I think with the right wingers and the right system, I don't think Simeone has suited him. I think you'll see a better Felix. Listen, when Felix went to Atletico, he was the best youngster in the world.
Is it fair to say he was what we look at Mbappe and Haaland as now? And maybe didn't have the goal scoring record, but everyone felt the potential was something.
It was an all-time top transfer. It was 105 million. It was
it was a ridiculous
amount of money.
Quality
was he brought
young
in
player.
to replace Griezmann?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Was it Griezmann? Yeah, it was.
And it was
they sold
record fee as well. So
they've done some weird business. Some of those clubs, but
yeah,
100, well over 100 million.
105 million.
He's perfect for what Arteta seems like he wants to do.
Do you genuinely believe that? Because the Lacazette role would he take over that? Because Lacazette holds up players, holds up the ball well. I know João Felix is very good on the ball and does bring other players, but that physicality.
You might not get a player that holds up the ball in a physical sense, but you'll get a player that can hold up the ball in a cultured sense.
Yes, a smarter way.
A drop of the shoulder, get into some space, allow the runners to get past him, things like that. Whereas Laka uses his body more.
Yeah.
You look at Felix, and that's not a player that's going to use his body against Premier League centre back. But in terms of his brain, and how quick that works.
Yeah, he's one of those players that just finds space. You don't know how he always has space around him. That player when you know a player of quality always has time on the ball. He's
quality. I mean, this one's come out of nowhere,
Yeah, true.
And if you said a striker to sign in the summer, a realistic striker to sign, if he is an option, he would be top for me.
Wow.
And that includes Martinez at Inter, and includes whoever else there, Isak and whoever else we can link to.
When I keep obsessing myself over what Guardiola, there we go, I've called him Guardiola. What Arteta's trying to do, and I watch it and I keep thinking he's trying to copy Guardiola's playbook. He's trying to, not copy's harsh, but he obviously believes in his style of football and he's trying to replicate it. and put his own spin on it. And when I saw the links to Raphinha and Felix, I thought, yeah, they're perfect. They're perfect. I completely see why we've been linked to those two as potential forwards. I completely see how they would take us closer to playing that style of football, that brand of football. In terms of, you know, the false nine, the dropping in, the almost being a number 10 to link the wide players and all that, Felix is perfect. In terms of being, you know, out on the touchline, beating men and stretching the pitch, Raphinha is perfect. I feel excited for the summer to see what kind of attacking options Arteta's able to add to this team. Just add a little bit more depth and quality in those areas, because we keep saying that the evolution of our attack line has actually just been the promotion of Hale End boys and the development of Martinelli. It's not been a natural kind of going and finding the right fit and chucking them in. It's been, well, what can we get out of Aubameyang and Lacazette until we finally get to that summer where the funds are there. We've seen that the main allocation of resources in terms of the money has been on defensive areas, your Partey's, your Gabriel's, your White's, Ramsdale's, all that. So it is exciting. I'm glad these are the players we're being linked with more so than I like Calvert-Lewin, I actually really like him, but he doesn't fit the mould in that way.
No, I agree with that.
I'm just going to go to a super chat. I did miss it. Sorry, Chris Farrer one. I'm going to read a super chat now. It says, when Renato was in centre mid last night versus Chelsea, first instinct was to turn up the field and progress through the midfield. Through the middle, perfect to our build-up in the Xhaka role. I think we spoke about it.
I think everyone came away from watching that game with the same thought process. You know, I think everyone was looking at David, but in the end, everyone came away from it saying Sanchez.
Yeah. I still liked Jonathan
I was
David.
dubious about Sanchez a year ago because obviously he's kind of not been tried and tested, because that wouldn't be fair, you know, in terms of his Swansea career. Was it Swansea?
Yeah.
Yeah, a brief 6 months.
Because you look at Gnabry at West Brom and look what happened there and look what he is now.
Yeah.
So you can't make judgment off that. But I just felt a mix of injuries, a mix of expectation to reality at the bigger clubs, Bayern Munich, the bigger leagues, Premier League. He didn't quite find his place, but now it seems like he's turned the corner. It seems like he's back to what he was coming through, which was an exciting, promising talent.
Yeah. He looks to me like a perfect modern day central midfielder for the Premier League. And what I mean by that is someone who he's cultured on the ball, very, very good on the ball, but has that plan B in terms of his power and drive. Sometimes, we've all played football. I know you to a slightly different level. Not quite as good as us. But when you're playing, like anyone out there who's watching this has played the game, sometimes when you got the ball, your instinct is, well, how can I almost use my feet to get out of this? Like, where's the space? Where can I turn? Where can I take the ball? And then in that split second, you might go, I'm going to have to charge through this. Sometimes it's kick it and run, or sometimes it's just barrage my way through. And I'm not actually trying to discredit him as a footballer by saying that. I'm saying he's got those different levels to go to. I'm not saying he's some powerhouse box-to-box midfielder, but we saw, especially the years I watched him most, he's got that ability to just, right, that's it, I'm striding through here. And I think that is something we lack in our team. I think Lokonga tries to play that way, just maybe lacks the physicality a little bit, and he's young, so he might develop that. But Sanchez, I think, he can come in and immediately improve our midfield. I already see how he'll link with Partey, how he'll link with Odegaard, but he'll mainly play to the left-hand side. Like, I see it, again, another player, I see it with those
if you look
two.
at what Xhaka did, Xhaka's role on the weekend against Brentford, if you had Renato Sanches in that role, you're getting a completely different output. You know, don't get me wrong, Xhaka actually did okay in that role, surprisingly. But if you get a Sanchez in that role, it's different gravy.
I think the Renato Sanches we saw at Swansea is completely different. I know you did mention it was a long time ago. He did do an interview as well, saying that he's changed now, like he's matured, he's ready to. He actually wants to challenge for the Premier League. I'm sure that's what was said in some of his quotes as well. So it would be amazing if he did come to Arsenal. And I liked what he said there. It's the elements of being able to be powerful, and he uses his body so well in protecting the ball and then charging forward. And his first foot was always forward when I watched him yesterday as well. So a player I would love to see come through the door at Arsenal, but
okay, so here's a question, and for all of you as well, let us know in the comments section.
Here we go.
These players we're linked with, they sound to me like, if you get Champions League, I can actually see all of them coming. I could see us doing that, but if we don't, is there what I'd call a B team shopping list, which is we didn't get João Felix, so we're gonna get, I don't know. Podence.
Doing Eddie's
I
job
quite
here.
like Podence, but I'm just saying, like a player who has proven it in the Premier League. Maybe it's a step up. With all due respect, Wolves might disagree if they get a result with us tomorrow, but you get my point. Like, are they dependent on Champions League? These links?
Some of them, I'd say Felix is definitely a name that would.
Is their fees not worrying you lot? 120 million euros, that's like what, 90 million to 100 million? Like, do you feel the Kroenke? It's not your money. I hear that, but the Kroenke's gonna. I know they talk about this war chest every summer, but those players we just mentioned.
You know when we bought Ozil for in 2013 for 40 million? How far is 120 million today off what 40 million was back then? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, with inflation and
I'd say it's maybe like 60 million back then, 50, 60 million. But now we're at a point where 100 to 120 million a player, like it's still, don't get me wrong, it's still a lot of money. Yeah. And I think in the last year or two, we've seen clubs more go, I'm not playing. Look at United with Sancho. They don't know, you're not going to take the piss. We're not going to do it. But I don't think it would be that. I think it'd be more around 80, 90. Okay. But that is...
It's a lot. I don't see the Kroenkes throwing up their pocket and saying, João Felix, Raphinha and Renato Sanches. I think we might get maybe one of those and then a B option. A B option that we're going to kind of discuss potentially of what we'd get a B. So, but I know we've got this, they want to spend a lot of money, but...
Does this sound out of the realms of possibility? Felix 80 million. I'm doing the whole football manager. People are on Twitter. But let's do it for fun, right? Felix 80 million, Raphinha 40 million, Sanchez 30 million. Does that sound feasible?
No, not for me.
No?
It wouldn't make sense.
No, not for us. As in the values I've put on the players.
Yeah, the values.
No, not 40 million Raphinha. I'd say he's probably what's left on his contract.
I don't know.
Yeah, if he's got a year left, then cool. But if he's got 2 to 3 years left, then you're talking 50, 60, 70 mil maybe. Yeah. Listen, when you got Man City buying Jack Grealish for 100 mil and Man United buying Pogba for 90 mil and Harry Maguire for 80 mil, and you look at the three players' productivity, it does damage to the rest of the league.
So, two of that is English tax as well. Two of the three.
The reason I said those exact fees is because they tally to 150 mil, which is what we spent last summer. So I'd love to see what we could spend if we got to if the Kroenkes are serious, like they're saying, and we see what the war chest is. What the war chest is. If we get Champions League football, then it could get interesting. But I think there's a B team list. With all due respect, I think there's a list of players that they're going, start getting ready in case it's got to be this.
Let's hope so. That's planning. That's planning in advance.
Before we move on, are those three names enough for you guys though? Like, so is João Felix and Raphinha? Because you want two strikers.
No.
I personally want two. And a midfielder, but do you say what, two?
If we got those two in a midfielder, for me that's an unbelievable sum.
Wow. Agreed, Turkish? Or do you need? I say you need another striker, but I suppose Raphinha can cover that position. But
I'd say you need two strikers, one centre mid, and then the winger comes fourth for me.
Yeah, so I agree.
That's fair. Where I see a Felix, Martinelli, Balogun holding the line as kind of three strikers between them. Listen, Saka's played everywhere. Why couldn't he play up front?
Would you rather Felix and Schick or Felix and Raphinha?
Felix and Raphinha.
For me, I'd rather Felix and Schick. Because
I hear you. I just love Raphinha. But go on.
Don't get me wrong. Raphinha is I'm not comparing Raphinha and Schick because outside looking in, Raphinha is the player quality. But when you look at what we need and where we're light, I feel like, all right, if we was to get a Felix in and he's our first choice and it's not working, then who's our plan B on the bench? Now, I know people say Pepe might be able to, Raphinha might be able, but I'm not hearing none of that. What I want to see is an alternative option. And I think Schick gives that. Whereas if Raphinha is here, it's going to be Raphinha or Saka, one's on the bench.
How old Schick?
26.
Okay, that's probably why I was leaning towards him as well. I knew he was a bit of an older striker.
And that's just one option. I'm saying that.
I think you need experience as well in your second option. I think João Felix is 22. We're going to rely on our youngsters coming back.
Project.
But the whole front. I mean, what we did is basically a youth side. If we're going to go from the front four, so I would more edge towards the Schick because obviously I would want experiences alongside the youth. I think that's how you build a good side. You can't just rely on that. But,
well, guys, let us know. Are we in dreamland here? These. We've not just picked out we kind of picked out Sanchez, but we've been linked to him in the past. We've been linked with these two recently. is this feasible? Is this feasible? Are we in dreamland? Have we just spent 22, 23 minutes or whatever it is
It's been a what?
talking about players that just aren't within the realms of possibility?
We are in dreamland.
Yeah. Back up, right back. No one quickly, just quickly.
Listen, Champions League at one point felt like dreamland for this season, didn't it?
True.
So if we get it, then I think those names actually become a possibility for Arsenal. But
lived,
that's why this season's so...
You know why I still say I'm in dreamland? This is me, because I've lived through multiple Champions League years where we haven't come close to a player like Felix or a player like Raphinha. You know, we always tell, okay, Ozil and Sanchez, different level, but circumstances allowed for that to happen.
Sure.
Bale to Real, Neymar to Barca, and so on.
I can't say Atletico wanting to do business with us either after Partey. Unless he's got a nice release clause and we can just come and drop
in
the
La
bag.
Liga, the release clauses ain't nice.
Yeah,
his release clause is probably like 200 mil.
Yeah, probably is something
Probably
like that.
like
You can bet they'll make us pay it. But yeah.
No, I think they're going through, like, I think they've come to realisation that Felix is probably not working out for them.
Yeah.
Reading some stuff behind the scenes over there, and they're probably going to look past him this summer potentially. I don't know how long he's got on his contract, but it might be a couple of years left.
Yeah.
And Atletico usually in the market, they do good business. I know you mentioned it was kind of weird, but they usually, one in, one out. That's how they tend to do it. And
You're right, they are quite good at replacing, who they lose.
From Torres to Forlan to Aguero, so many different players and strikers in particular over the years, that it just seemed that at the end of this road for the Felix cycle. But best believe they're still going to want around 80 mil. They're not going to want to take too big of a loss on him, if any.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just quickly some super chats before we move on. Chef says Mikel is making City 2.0 at Arsenal, interchanging players and positions. We still need a target man for matches, etc. Stokes, for example, he's saying etc. And experienced players for the midfield stability. Got some more super chats coming in. Thank you, everyone. Matt Carney says, out of these four options, would say that Arsenal are at the moment playing good, bad or good or bad. That is very confusing.
What a question.
Out of these four options, would say that Arsenal are at the moment playing good, bad/good, bad or good bad. That's
all mad.
That's a wild one. Shref back with a super chat says, in the Premier League, there's higher physicality, speed, end to end, and in general more games. Laka was king, but he was useless at United, and I think it means Lukaku, not Laka. Lukaku was king, but he was useless at United and Chelsea. I'd rather prefer Raphinha. And then Dev Singh says, I'll sign Ryan. Arsenal to sign Ryan, review for Project Youth. I don't know who he's referring to, Ryan Toys. But
that's kind of our main news of the day, is really those transfer links. But there was a little bits and bobs here and there that we can just sort of discuss very briefly. Martinelli, in his own words, I believe, in The Athletic, which was quite interesting. I think, Cecil, you having a little look at it, were you?
Yeah, I was having a look at it today, and kind of the main thing that's, I think, is grabbing a lot of headlines that people are kind of referring to is what he said about Jed Spence. So I got the quote here from The Athletic and his talk today. It says, when set against these players per 90 minutes in the Premier League this season, Marseille has the highest success rate. Apologies, that was my wrong quote. Apologies for that. That is talking about Raphinha. Let me go back to it. Marseille says City are 100%. City are 100% the hardest team to play and the toughest individual opponent. He was questioned. He produces an unexpected name. Actually, the guy from Nottingham Forest, Jed Spence, is what Martinelli said was his toughest opponent this season. Who I played against in the FA Cup. He is strong, good on the ball, calm, quick, and I was surprised, but he is a really good player. Now, I think that was kind of the standout thing, and you're right, we did see it, we saw it in that game, but surprisingly, obviously, he played against Trent, against Liverpool.
But didn't they ask Oba recently who's the toughest defender he played against, and he said Mings, or was that some made up stuff on Twitter?
I haven't seen that.
I saw that yesterday. Let me know in the comments, is that true? Did Oba say the hardest defender he's come against in the league?
I mean, if he
Mings?
said, you're mad, I didn't see that, but even Martinelli saying, Jed Spence, so agreed, we saw that. But when you come up against Trent, granted, I think he in the cup not too long ago, he did actually get Trent sent.
He caused Trent and Cancelo way more problems.
Yeah,
way more problems.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating, isn't it? That he mentions Jed Spence, and obviously that has been the target for Arsenal as well.
Fullbacks' roles have become to be more creative, and Anyway, I said that terribly. Fullbacks have had their roles changed recently by
Massively.
the Klopps and Guardiolas. Now, at first it was to kind of bomb forward and provide width and deliver into the box. A lot still do that, but you look at Reece James, Trent, Cancelo, they can all come into midfield and play and actually be creative outlets from wide areas. And yeah, you're going to find that those players can't be perfect. There's going to be a bit of give for that. And Trent, defensively, sometimes has looked a little on the back foot. And Martinelli exposed that. But going forward, he's unbelievable. Yeah. And I've got to say, watching Martinelli this season, Jed Spence was the only one I thought he's not got the better of here.
He was on fire that game. He was on fire that game. And just to kind of back off that as well, like, the fullback role has completely changed. I do workshops and speak to young players almost every week or every month at professional clubs. And one of the questions I used to ask many years ago was, put your hand up if you want it to be a right back or a full back, and keep your hand up. And a lot of them start with it, yep, that's what I'm doing. I say, keep your hand up if you want it to be that position for when you first started playing football. Everyone's hands goes down. Nowadays, I ask that question saying, who wants to be a full back from when they first started playing football? The hands are staying up, because that's a testament to how much the game's changed. A lot of play goes down the width, down through the fullback. So
in the 90s and early 2000s, when I was growing up watching football, you'd be a fullback if you wasn't good enough to be other positions.
Right.
Just do a job. Just do a job. But now it's like you look at fullbacks for creativity, and you look at fullbacks to open up a game, and it's a lot more of a vital position on the pitch now.
Well, I always remember fullbacks bombing on so that you could get your wingers closer to goal. To a degree, Liverpool sometimes still do that, but now you're asking wingers to hold the width so there's space for the fullbacks to enter. They're thinking, oh my God, I mean, the evolution of football tactics.
Or if you're Pep, you're asking your fullback to come and be a number 10, a centre mid. Cancelo's just something else. So.
See
him everywhere.
These players are unbelievable. Cancelo, another example of a player who took a year or two to really get going, and look at him now.
As they do at City, though. Most players at City take a year to bed in, and then
absolutely,
they hit the ground running in the second season.
There was a nice other quote from Arteta. I haven't got it off the top of my head, but it was something about, we're going to grow into one of the best teams in the world. He was talking about him and the kind of young group that are there, and just nice to kind of hear that. Listen, I'm sure there's a degree to which he's thinking there's certain things I kind of need to say, but needing to say it or what, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, I've always liked Martin. I've always thought he's spoken really well. And you want to hear that the players are believing in what's happening. You want to hear that they believe we're going to be the best team in the world one day. We're on that adventure together.
Yeah, that was by far the best quote out of the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it gave some insight into his feelings for the future.
Yeah.
For me, from that quote alone, that shows me that he's happy here now. He's happy with the last couple of years, and he's happy to see how it's moving forward. Yeah. Let's just hope the club ensure that happiness is kept.
Okay. Yeah. You talk about the future there of Mikel Arteta, and some news obviously that came out today about Arsenal potentially set to offer Mikel Arteta a new 3-year contract in the summer with $25 million deal to include a pay rise to $8.3 million a year, which will see Mikel Arteta earn the same amount as Wenger before he left the club. Guys, thoughts on that, opinions? It was a lot of fans. There was word of obviously an extension on Mikel Arteta's contract a few months ago, and fans were kind of in uproar saying it's too soon. But obviously, it's maybe towards the end of the season. 3-year contract with a pay rise, how justified?
Listen, I understand why fans would rather wait till the end of the season, see how it goes, and then make a decision. This season can still go so well and still go so badly. I think Wolves are 8th, and they're in this hunt. So you can finish anywhere between 4th and 8th right now. So I'd be inclined to wait, but at the same time, and people laugh at this and go, why would City want him? Listen, for whatever reason, Arteta's very rated in the game by the higher powers, the boards of clubs, certain coaches, whatever. Not just because he's Guardiola's friend, but there is substance behind why they think he's one of the upcoming managers. Arsenal might want to tie him down. And if it doesn't go well, the easiest thing to do is sack a manager. Probably the easiest thing in football. Easier to do that than sell players, to get rid of owners, to change the board. Sack the manager is the easiest thing to do. So it's a horrible way of putting it, but they might feel, listen, if it does go completely wrong, so what? We take a hit. But I don't think they're worrying too much about it. I think they really believe in Mikel Arteta, and they just want to show him the faith and hope that he repays that faith, and this carries on in the direction it's been going.
Yeah, listen, I'd rather comment on it when it becomes official, but I'm with you. Like, I'd rather wait till the end of the season to make that decision. I know he might, have his head turned by other clubs or whatever, but I don't think that risk is there this summer. And regardless of a new contract or not, if Man City were to want him, a new contract ain't stopping him going there.
Another good point.
Do you know what I mean? So, like you said, this season can still go very badly, and it can still go well enough that we're content throughout the summer. I think it's so important to wait and see the mood and feeling around then. But I guess if they believe in him, if they really truly believe he's the one, then as a manager, as a manager of Arteta, which would be Josh Kroenke, I guess this would be the way to go about it. You secure his future because they see him as an asset.
Yeah.
Does the pay rise not, you not question the pay rise?
Again,
even if he gets top 4, there's still quite a big pay rise.
I don't know what he's on now. I don't care what he's on now. I don't care what we'll be on. I don't really. I don't know. It's not like sack the manager so we can make space for players. It's never going to be like that. Yeah. They'll pay him what they think he's worth and what they negotiate, and that'll be that. And good luck to him. And go make your money, man. Like, good luck to him. I know
the pressure goes up with that.
He's not here for that, but I suppose, yeah.
The pressure goes up.
Yeah, especially with the loss that we're going to yet see Arsenal's financial year, but it's soon to come out of it. It seems like it's a loss. I think the pay rise for me, just justifying it. Top 4. Does it justify it? But I suppose you make.
Yeah. So last year, around this time, our losses were, off the top of my head, I think 350 mil.
Right.
No, our debt was 350 mil. I think our operating loss was circa 80, 100 mil, maybe 120 mil. Our operating loss for the last financial year, which will come out in the next few days, has risen to 150 mil, roughly, and our debt has risen to 500 mil, which is a 150 mil increase. Which happens to be the same amount we spent last summer. Right. I remember that a couple of years ago, heading into the pandemic, heading into the first full season with the pandemic around, I remember Kroenke paid off a debt, and he was lauded for that. Everyone thought this could be a change in his ways. He paid off a 120 million debt, I think the club had. But over the coming months and year ahead, he took out more loans from Barclays off the back of Arsenal, which kind of doubled down on him taking that debt out and putting the debt back in. So there's still very much a lot of questions to be asked about whether Kroenke really mean this new gen turnaround or whether they're still playing with us, and we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. There was also Mikel Arteta press conference today. Go check that out on YouTube. Loads of channels have put it up, so go have a little look if you want to get the breakdown what he said. But in short, we were listening to it earlier. I don't know if you caught it, Turkish. It wasn't too much. There was some nice quotes. He was talking about the documentary and how that's impacted them. He was talking about the all or nothing that they're all very excited for. He was talking about...
I couldn't care less about the all or nothing.
Seriously, I'm very intrigued about it. He did speak about it. He said...
If we have a good season, I will pop open some popcorn and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think the reporter asked him, would we be surprised with what they see in All or Nothing documentary of Mikel Arteta? Will we see a different side to you? And he said, when the cameras follow me around for 24 hours, I mean, you're going to see, the highs, the lows, the sad, sad and happy. So, but that's granted. But I'm intrigued to see it. But Robbie always shuts down and says, they're not going to show us anything in something.
If it ends well, they'll show us a lot.
I ain't even seen the Invincible documentary yet. And that's a lot closer to my heart than seeing All or Nothing for a season where we've just finished 8th twice and seeing if we can get back into Champions League. I get it, it's going to be interesting, but for me, these documentaries and whatnot, they're always spun in a certain way. Like the Invincible one I've heard has been spun in a certain way. I'm sure this All or Nothing is going to be spun in a certain way. I think Vinay mentioned All or Nothing at the fans forum last week.
I remember, did he?
I believe he mentioned All or Nothing, and he used that as, watch when that comes out and you can see how hard we work and stuff. And he was very confident about it. So already I feel like it's getting spun as they go. It's getting spun as they go. Every month that gets recorded, I'm sure that Arsenal are in contact with Amazon and they're working out what's best for both brands. That's why I'm not too interested in it. Even if we get 4th, let's say we get 4th on the last day of the season, it'd be massive.
Yeah.
Fuck the documentary.
Swear down, you wouldn't watch it, no?
I might watch it. Like I'll probably watch Invincible documentary soon enough. But like I said, I don't trust it to be a real, true insight into how things go. I mean, we looked at the Tottenham one. Did we get much insight into it, or was it like a comedy show? It was more like a comedy show. You look at the...
I did like the Mourinho. I did like the art and Danny Rose. I did like the argument.
No, I like the Mourinho turning off the TV.
I did.
Yeah, but you know Mourinho's an actor already, so he's already fit for that sort
I've
of
got to
role.
say, he was box office, but anyway.
He loves it.
The cameras are always there though. When I go and do fan cams outside the stadium, I do see them capturing a lot, and I ask them, is this the Amazon? They have their Amazon lanyards on, so they're...
got Amazon right there. You Amazon?
Amazon and Arsenal. No. Yeah, I know. I'll go and see. I think it's fascinating. I've got the cameras 24 around there, so it'll be interesting.
It'd be interesting to see whether in January they was actually calling Vlahovic as much as they was calling him. So I'll look out for January's episode.
Yeah, and there tends to be a transfer episode,
Yeah, I'll miss out on the first few months.
Can I just round off with some super chats here? Gourmet says, hi guys, just wanted to say we love your channel. I wanted to know how we can sponsor you guys. Matt Carney says, should Arsenal's approach be attack/defend or defend/attack? I think with Arteta in the way he's kind of looked at building a squad, he went from defence and built around that, and now I think he's obviously moving towards strengthening the attack. Whether if he's talking about the style of play there, we go from defence to attack anyway, so that kind of answers that. Chicken_drumstick says, sanctions on Roman Abramovich, your thoughts?
Is that coming in then, or is that still obviously I see that speaker mentioning that maybe some sanctions should come in, but is anything actually coming in?
I don't know what's
and if so, I don't. You see politics.
We'll leave it to politics.
It's muddy waters, you know.
Yeah.
How can we know what happens if sanctions get placed on Roman? How can we know? You know, there's problems within the government itself to know what's going to happen with the fallout of this.
This is an interesting super chat here. Dev says, remember when some fans insinuated that Arteta hated Martinelli? Why do we have such an overreactionary fan base? Look at what he said in The Athletic. Just on that, I'm not saying that people said that, you know, that Arteta hated Martinelli, but I think you ought to give credit to Arteta for allowing him to, you know, be not the main focal point straight away. I know he did play against Chelsea in the start of the season, but kind of protect him, nurture him. Kind of what we've seen Pep do, what he did with Foden. I think the timing of bringing him in was superb, and I think I'll give credit for Mikel Arteta and the development of Martinelli. I have to put my hands up to that. I don't know if you guys disagree with that, but
I do think that.
I don't think his hand was forced on Martinelli.
I don't think we needed to sign Willian to eat into his game time even more.
Is that competition for that?
But was he injured? Maybe, to be fair, maybe he was injured for the first part of that, which is why we signed him.
Yeah,
that could be a point.
He was injured.
We're seeing for me the best version of Martinelli we've seen so far. So yeah. I think it perhaps.
Sometimes the best thing for youngsters is to protect them from the limelight. It's, you know, most time, in fact, the best thing for youngsters is to protect them. So I get it, and look, at Martinelli's comment shows he's been happy with it so far. The way he's come into the side shows he hasn't really had a problem with it.
Yeah.
So long may it continue. You know, no looking back now. That's how I see it.
Agree with that.
Taha says no point in putting the building blocks in and then removing the architect. Give Mikel Arteta the new contract and stabilise. Big up AFTV and Big Six as well.
Love.
Not a bad point, that I've got to say.
Yeah, well written there. And the sports analyst says, Cecil, bro, you're awful at FIFA. 3-2, I dominated you. And that's referring to the Twitch.
Go check that out.
We're on Twitch.
Yeah, Cecil's on Twitch and TikTok playing FIFA.
On AFTV.
Struggling his way through.
Chill out, I'm getting better. Listen, I've been promoted every season so far, but you guys got to get on it as well. But yeah, guys, make sure you check out
on amateur set.
I'm playing season, I'm playing online, but it is season 8. It's not really that high, but we're getting there. We're heading towards the season 1 Premier League top division. But yeah, make sure you guys check that out.
You're still losing to sports analyst 3-2.
Yeah, we played a fan and I lost 3-2, but he got lucky. I was multitasking, man. I'm doing comments. I'm doing Twitter. I'm playing. Listen, there's only 3-2. Come on, allow me. But listen, I'll come back for you. And just quickly on that as well, I want to mention we've been nominated for an award for the Sports Journalism Award for, I think it's YouTube Sports Show. There's a lot of big competitors in that actually. So make sure you guys check that out, and thank you as well for the nomination, but hopefully you can vote as well on the website.
Yeah, been nominated for the watch along, so you know, appreciate obviously all you guys. Without the fans, everybody watches this channel. like we wouldn't be in this position. So yeah,
Coming up against Overlap, BT Sports.
Yeah,
Talk
Simon
Sport.
Jordan and
Jim White.
Ben White, Jim White, Simon Jordan, Ben White show on Talk Sport. Check that out.
So yeah.
But yeah, no. So some really massive YouTube productions. So yeah, thank you everyone for your kind of.
And someone's asked, where
support.
can I find the Martinelli interview? It was done with The Athletic. And I know you've got to sign up to The Athletic, but there might be a free trial or something going on, so
Yeah, exactly.
go look out for that.
It's quite a lot as well. It's not just, I know I did take one quote, the main thing about Jed Spence, but it's actually a very big interview. He praises a lot about the club, and he actually praises Arteta as well, and gives him a lot of credit as well. So it's a really nice.
The Athletic are in bed with Arsenal, though. You know that, right?
Let's move on.
I'm just letting you guys know.
No, yeah. But yeah, that was it. Make sure you guys check that out.
On that note,
Right, no, look, honestly, a big thank you again, as we mentioned, for the Sports Journalism Awards.
Yes.
It is the support you guys give this channel that, has put us in that position. So a big thank you. Thank you for everyone who joined in, sent in your comments, your super chats, all that. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. We'll just be bringing you Arsenal news as and when it happens. Obviously, any breaking news, we'll be straight on the live to discuss it as well. And yeah, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Loads of content coming out. Box to box tonight, am I right?
yeah, 7 p.m.
With Dazzling Dave ahead of the Wolves game tomorrow, which of course we're covering. On top of that, we've had the Invincibles podcast and Talk is Cheap. So lots of stuff looking ahead to that Wolves game. I know we haven't really touched on it, but there's a lot out there for you guys to get stuck into in terms of a preview. So enjoy that. And we'll be back tomorrow. Arsenal versus Wolves, another big game. Feels like every game is.
Every
But
game
this
is
one
massive.
is this is a race for top 4 clash.
A 6-pointer.
It's definitely a 6-pointer. Big thanks to you guys again, and we'll see you soon.
Love.